Part 1. The Night the Zodiac Emerged. Chapter 1. A Shadow Rises. Northern California in the late 1960s lived under the illusion of peace. Music festivals, counterculture, young love, and political protests painted the streets with optimism. But beneath the bright colors and the loud voices, something darker moved quietly. A cold, calculating presence studying the world around it. Before the ciphers, before the headlines, before the name Zodiac became a legend, the killer was simply a man lurking in the margins. A man who watched, a man who learned, a man who waited for the perfect night to step out of the shadows. And in December 1968, he finally did. Chapter 2. Lake Herman Road. December 20th, 1968, 11 p.m. Teenagers David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen parked along the isolated stretch of Lake Herman Road. A first date, winter cold, a quiet road surrounded by darkness. They weren't alone. Another car lingered nearby. A silent figure approached. No warning, no conversation. Gunshots shattered the night. David was killed instantly with a single shot. Betty Lou ran, terrified, but 5 bullets struck her in the back before she reached the road. The killer left nothing behind. No usable footprints, no fingerprints, no tire impressions. Just 2 dead teenagers and the knowledge that whoever did this had killed with precision and would likely kill again. Chapter 3. Blue Rock Springs. July 4th, 1969. While fireworks exploded above Vallejo, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau parked at Blue Rock Springs. It was supposed to be a quiet holiday night. A second car pulled up behind them. It drove away. Then it returned. A man stepped out with a flashlight. He shined it in their eyes and opened fire. Michael was hit multiple times. Darlene was fatally wounded. 40 minutes later, the Vallejo Police Department phone rang. A calm male voice said, "I want to report a double murder, and I also killed those kids last year." This was the moment the killer chose to reveal himself. Chapter 4. Letters and the 408 Cipher. On August 1st, 1969, 3 major newspapers received nearly identical letters. Each contained a confession, threats, 1/3 of a cipher made of 408 cryptic symbols. The killer demanded they be printed or he would strike again. The newspapers complied. Within days, schoolteacher Donald Hardin and his wife Betty cracked the cipher. The decoded message read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. Man is the most dangerous animal of all." But the last line was the most important. "I will not give you my name because you will try to slow or stop my collecting of slaves for my afterlife." The killer had no intention of revealing who he was, and thus, a legend began. Chapter 5. Lake Berryessa. September 27, 1969. College students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard relaxed on the shore of Lake Berryessa when a figure emerged from the trees. He wore a black hood, clip-on sunglasses over the eye holes, a chest symbol, the crosshair logo that would soon terrify millions. He claimed to be an escaped convict. He tied them with pre-cut ropes. Then, without hesitation, he stabbed them repeatedly. Before leaving, he wrote a message on Brian's car door. 12-2068, 7469, September 27, 69 by knife. Cecilia died the next day. Brian survived. The Zodiac had changed his style. Now he was theatrical, ritualistic, and eager to leave a signature. Chapter 6. Presidio Heights. October 11th, 1969. San Francisco. Taxi driver Paul Stein picked up a passenger near the theater district. The ride ended at the upscale neighborhood of Presidio Heights. There, the passenger shot Stein in the head. He wiped down the cab, took the driver's wallet and keys, cut away a blood-stained piece of the shirt, a trophy he would soon mail to the press. Teenagers in a nearby house witnessed everything and called the police. A dispatcher error described the suspect as a black male. The Zodiac, a white man, walked right past officers searching the area and vanished into the Presidio darkness. 3 days later, the San Francisco Chronicle received another letter, with the shirt fragment inside. "The police shall never catch me. I am too clever for them." Chapter 7. A City in Fear. By the end of 1969, the Zodiac Killer's presence had reshaped Northern California. Couples avoided lovers' lanes. School buses were escorted. Streets emptied after dark. Newspapers were filled with coded threats. Police departments were overwhelmed. Families locked doors for the first time. People watched every stranger with suspicion. The Zodiac was no longer just a murderer. He had become a myth, a symbol of fear, a phantom that seemed to appear anywhere and nowhere. He wanted attention. He wanted panic. He wanted power. And in just 1 year, he had turned an entire region into his audience. Part 2. The Game Begins. Chapter 8. Letters of a Killer. After the murder of Paul Stein, the Zodiac shifted from a hidden predator to a public performer. Within days, he began sending letters again. Longer, bolder, more theatrical. His new messages were filled with taunts, attacks on police, strange diagrams, threats of future killings, and most chilling of all, the promise to target children. He wrote about shooting out the tires of a school bus, then killing the fleeing kids, one by one. No bomb was ever found, but fear spread across Northern California immediately. Parents followed buses in their own cars. Schools added patrols. Every yellow bus on the road felt like a target. Zodiac didn't need explosions. He just needed words. Chapter 9. The Killer Craves Attention. What distinguished the Zodiac from other killers was not the violence, but the performance. He fed on attention. The more headlines he got, the more powerful he felt. He wanted fear, fame, recognition, control. He mocked detectives. He demanded publications treat him like a celebrity. He wrote as if the entire state was his stage, and he was the star. Investigators began to realize something unsettling. He was killing for the same reason he wrote letters, to feel important. Chapter 10. The Bus Bomb Hoax. One of his most infamous letters included a sketch of a bomb he claimed to have buried underground, a device designed to blow up a bus full of children. The drawing was detailed, almost convincing. A pipe filled with shrapnel, a trigger mechanism, camouflage, instructions, timing, components. But experts noticed flaws. The design was incomplete, even amateurish. Did he actually build a bomb? Or was the entire blueprint just another tool of psychological terror? No one knew. But the fear it created was real. And that was all the Zodiac needed. Chapter 11. The Phantom Caller. Around this time, the police received one of the most unsettling tips. A woman claimed a man had called her repeatedly, breathing steadily into the phone. Sometimes he whispered her name. Other times he stayed silent. But one night he spoke clearly. "I'm the Zodiac." His voice was calm, deep, controlled, not frantic, not joking, not nervous. Police couldn't verify the call, but detectives familiar with the case believed it was likely real. If it was, it showed something terrifying. The Zodiac enjoyed stalking from the shadows just as much as pulling the trigger. Chapter 12. The Wrong Suspect. During the growing panic, police focused heavily on one man, a local resident seen near several Zodiac-related areas. He matched parts of composite sketches. He had a troubling background. His handwriting looked suspiciously similar. But after weeks of surveillance and interviews, The case against him collapsed. Fingerprint comparisons didn't match. Ballistics didn't match. His alibis held. The Zodiac watched the investigation strain under pressure. He mocked the police in another letter. "I have left you clues. You are not clever enough to find me." Every misstep made him seem more untouchable. Chapter 13. A Killer Who Lies. The Zodiac's letters contained dozens of personal claims. That he had military training, that he lived in the woods, that he hid bombs, that he was a genius, that he had multiple identities. But nearly all of them contradicted each other. He wasn't giving clues, he was creating confusion. He understood something crucial. A lie told confidently is more powerful than a truth offered humbly. And the chaos he created was more important to him than accuracy. Police tried to decipher the man behind the persona, but he offered too many masks, too many voices, too many versions of himself. Which one was real? Maybe none of them. Chapter 14. The media helps the monster. Every newspaper printed his words. Every TV station reported his threats. Every radio broadcast speculated about who he was. The Zodiac watched the hysteria grow. He fed on it. Some detectives privately wondered, were we helping him by printing his letters? But they had no choice. He threatened to kill if denied attention. He turned the media into his megaphone. He became an icon of fear, not because of how many he killed, but because he made millions feel like they might be next. Chapter 15. The Woman on Highway 132. In March 1970, Kathleen Johns claimed she had been kidnapped by the Zodiac. According to her report, a man flagged her down, saying her car's wheel looked loose. Instead, he tampered with it. Moments later, the wheel fell off. He offered her a ride, but instead of taking her to help, he drove in circles for hours, ignoring her pleas to stop. Terrified for her infant daughter, she eventually escaped with her baby from the moving car. When police showed her the Zodiac composite sketch, she pointed without hesitation. That's him. Later, her abandoned car was found burned. Police were never fully sure whether the abduction was real, but if it was, it showed something terrifying. The Zodiac had begun hunting in new ways. Not couples, not lovers' lanes, just random, vulnerable victims. Chapter 16. The 13-character cipher. In April 1970, the Zodiac sent a new letter. Inside was a short cipher, only 13 characters, prefaced with the words, "My name is." It was a taunt, a challenge, a dare. Experts studied it for decades. FBI cryptographers, military codebreakers, mathematicians, puzzle experts. But the cipher broke all known linguistic patterns. It could be a name, it could be nonsense, it could be a psychological trick. To many detectives, the real purpose was obvious. He never intended to reveal his identity. He only wanted the world to try. Chapter 17. Letters Without Murders. By mid-1970, the Zodiac's killings seemed to slow. But his letters continued. He wrote about new victims, unconfirmed, bombs, death counts, mocking jokes, philosophical, rambling, hints of future plans. The letters were the murders now. He didn't need bullets to terrify California. Ink was enough. He had discovered the ultimate weapon, fear that did not require violence. Chapter 18. The killer fades, but doesn't leave. Toward late 1970, Zodiac's activity became erratic. Some letters appeared months apart. Some seemed more unstable. Some were clearly fake, written by imitators. But a few carried the same cold, structured tone, the same handwriting, the same hunger for attention, the same signature mark. People wondered, did he move? Did he get sick? Did he get arrested for another crime? Did he die? Did he simply grow bored? There were no answers, only theories. What everyone understood was this: the Zodiac wasn't disappearing. He was watching, waiting, shifting his game. Northern California remained frozen in uncertainty. The killer had not only escaped justice, he had become a myth. And myths don't die. Part 3. The Man Who Vanished in Plain Sight. Chapter 19. A Killer Surrounded by Suspects. By 1971, investigators had a long list of suspects, nearly 2,500 names, yet none strong enough to arrest. The Zodiac case grew larger than any single police department could handle. Jurisdictions clashed, egos flared. Information was scattered across counties. Meanwhile, the Zodiac continued writing. He mocked the chaos. "You will never catch me, because you are all working separately." For the first time, police realized something crucial. The Zodiac wasn't just watching them, he was studying them, and he was using their disorganization as part of his escape route. Chapter 20. Arthur Lee Allen. Among the thousands of names, one stood out: Arthur Lee Allen, a man who became almost synonymous with the Zodiac in popular culture. There were reasons for suspicion. He lived near several crime scenes. He made disturbing comments about harming people. He wore a Zodiac-style watch with the crosshair logo. He had an odd fascination with hunting. He owned weapons. He matched some physical descriptions. But there were problems. His handwriting didn't match. His fingerprints didn't match. His DNA, decades later, didn't match. He had alibis for key dates. Allen was a strange man, intelligent, manipulative, and socially awkward. But if he was the Zodiac, he left no solid proof. Detectives were deeply divided. Some swore he was the killer. Others believed the case against him was built on intuition, not evidence. The Zodiac seemed to enjoy the confusion. "I am not the one you think I am." Once again, the truth slipped through their fingers. Chapter 21. The Lake Tahoe Disappearance. On a snowy night in 1970, a young casino worker named Donna Lass vanished without a trace. Her disappearance echoed Zodiac's style: isolated location late at night, no witnesses, no body, no motive. Months later, a postcard arrived with a cryptic message referencing her workplace and the phrase, "Sought Victim 12." Was it real? Was it a taunt? Was it a fake? Police never found Donna Lass. To this day, her case remains cold, a perfect metaphor for the Zodiac's ability to appear, strike, and disappear like fog. Chapter 22. The Silent Years. By 1972, something strange began happening. The Zodiac grew quiet. No new confirmed victims, no major letters, no new threats. The public started asking questions. Had he died? Had he moved? Had he been arrested for another crime? Had he simply grown bored? Meanwhile, seasoned detectives feared something else. The Zodiac was still alive, but watching from a distance, waiting for the world to forget. Serial killers rarely stop voluntarily. They adapt, they transform, they shift tactics. Everyone wondered, was he still killing, just without taking credit? Or did he retire from murder the way others retire from a job? No one knew, and that ignorance was its own terror. Chapter 23. The Return of Zodiac. Just when people believed the nightmare was fading, he resurfaced. March 1974, San Francisco Chronicle. A new letter arrived. Not as long as before, not as structured, but unmistakably Zodiac in tone. He referenced pop culture, mocked the police, and hinted that he had been active. Me, 37, SFPD, 0. Was it real? Police weren't sure, but the handwriting, the phrasing, the arrogance, it felt familiar. He seemed to be saying, "I never left. I just enjoy watching you struggle." Chapter 24. The Voice Case. One of the most disturbing leads came from a series of phone calls made to a psychiatric hotline. A man would call late at night and speak in a flat, emotionless tone. Sometimes he cried. Sometimes he whispered. Sometimes he said, "Please help me. I don't want to kill again." When experts compared the voice to the Zodiac's known call recordings, some believed it matched. Others dismissed it. But the chilling possibility remained. The Zodiac might have been crying for help, or pretending to, knowing it would deepen the mystery surrounding him. Manipulation was part of his identity. Chapter 25. The Cipher Nobody Could Solve. In the early 1970s, Zodiac sent another cipher, the 340 cipher, a string of characters that went unsolved for over 50 years. For decades, experts failed. Navy cryptologists, CIA analysts, FBI specialists, university mathematicians, amateur enthusiasts. It wasn't broken until 2020 by a team of private code breakers using advanced algorithms. The message did not reveal his identity. Instead, it taunted investigators. "I hope you are having lots of fun trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber, because it will send me to paradise sooner." Even after half a century, his voice felt alive, smirking, untouchable. Chapter 26. A Killer Without a Body Count. By now, detectives realized something unusual about Zodiac. Unlike most serial killers, he didn't need to kill constantly. For him, letters were violence, taunts were dominance, fear was a trophy, chaos was his reward. He had discovered that he could terrorize millions without firing a bullet. He had become a psychological killer, a cultural killer, a legend. Some investigators believed he committed only a handful of murders. Others believed he killed dozens, maybe hundreds, without ever signing his name. The truth was impossible to pin down, and that uncertainty made him even more terrifying. Chapter 27. The Illusion of the Killer Next Door. As years passed, people began to suspect their neighbors, co-workers, relatives, teachers, bus drivers, mechanics, strangers at grocery stores. Everyone seemed suspicious. Everyone seemed capable. The Zodiac created a world where the killer could be anyone. The killer could be anywhere. The killer might be watching you. The killer might be the quiet man in line behind you. Fear lingered long after his letters stopped. Detectives said, "He made us afraid of ordinary men." Chapter 28. The Disappearing Phantom. By the mid-1970s, the Zodiac faded again. No letters, no calls, no murders, nothing certain. Like a ghost, he dissolved into the era, leaving behind questions no detective could answer. He had outplayed the police. He had controlled the media. He had terrified the public. He had created a myth around himself so powerful that even his silence became legendary. The world waited for him to return, and for a long time, he didn't. But his shadow remained, because the most frightening thing about the Zodiac wasn't how he killed, it was how he vanished. Part 4. The Face Behind the Shadow. Chapter 29. The Case That Wouldn't Die. By the late 1970s, decades after the first murders, the Zodiac Killer had become something more than a criminal case. He was now a cultural specter, a symbol of unsolved evil that refused to fade. Detectives retired, died, or moved on. Files grew dusty. But the case never truly closed. Every police department involved, Vallejo, Napa, San Francisco, still kept a box labeled Zodiac. And inside those boxes, sat the same questions that haunted them since 1968. Who was he? Where did he go? How did he disappear so easily? And the most unsettling question of all, was he still alive? Chapter 30. The New Age of Suspects. With each passing decade, new suspects emerged, men who seemed to fit pieces of the Zodiac puzzle. 1. Rick Marshall, a projectionist with a love for puzzles, machines, and cryptography. He lived near the areas where Zodiac letters were mailed, but no hard evidence connected him. 2. Lawrence Kane, a man with memory issues, suspicious behavior, and a history that aligned with several crime scenes. His handwriting was close, but not close enough. 3. Earl Van Best, Jr., accused by his own son in a popular book. He resembled the composite sketch, but DNA comparisons weakened the theory. 4. Macduff, a violent criminal active during Zodiac's timeline, but nothing tied him directly. 5. The Unabomber theory. Some believed Ted Kaczynski and Zodiac shared writing patterns, but the timelines and geography didn't match. Every time a new suspect appeared, excitement stirred. Every time, the hype faded. Zodiac remained unclaimed, like a ghost with no skeleton to pin down. Chapter 31. DNA and the Hope of Science. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, forensic science advanced dramatically. Cold cases everywhere were being solved through DNA. Detectives wondered, could they finally unmask the Zodiac? They collected saliva from stamps, hair fragments, skin cells from envelopes, fingerprints, partial palm prints. But there was a major problem. Many of Zodiac's letters were handled by dozens of people before being preserved. The potential contamination made DNA nearly unusable. Still, partial profiles were extracted, barely stable, but enough to compare. One by one, suspects were eliminated. Arthur Lee Allen? No match. Rick Marshall? No match. Lawrence Kane? No match. Decades of suspicion crumbled in hours. The DNA offered hope, but also frustration, because while it cleared suspects, it identified no one new. Chapter 32. The 340 Cipher Breakthrough. In 2020, over 50 years after Zodiac mailed it, the 340 cipher was finally solved by 3 private citizens: a software developer, a code enthusiast, a mathematician. Together, they cracked what experts believed was unsolvable. But the solution brought no identity, no confession, just more arrogance. "I hope you are having lots of fun trying to catch me," he mocked detectives from the grave, or from wherever he was now. The cipher proved something chilling. The Zodiac had never intended to reveal his name. His legacy was mystery. Chapter 33. The Final Letters. Throughout the late 1970s and beyond, new letters continued appearing. Some were obvious forgeries, some seemed authentic. One in 1978 was declared genuine by the lab, then later declared fake, then re-examined again and left inconclusive. Another arrived in 1987, another in 1990. Then silence. Whether the real Zodiac mailed them is still debated, but one detail stands out. His tone stayed the same. His ego stayed intact. His message stayed mocking. If he wrote them, he was older, weaker, but still hungry for attention. If forgers wrote them, it showed something else. The Zodiac had become a myth powerful enough to inspire imitation. Chapter 34. Why he was never caught. Detectives agree on several reasons the Zodiac case collapsed. 1. Multiple jurisdictions. The murders occurred across different counties that rarely shared information. 2. A killer with no clear victim pattern. Couples, taxi drivers, lone victims, no consistent profile. 3. His ability to shift methods. Knives, guns, disguises, misleading footprints, different vehicles. 4. A talent for manipulation. He misled the police constantly, drawing them toward dead ends. 5. Media amplification. He controlled the narrative through newspapers. He weaponized attention. 6. Luck. He escaped seconds before officers arrived. He walked past police due to a radio mistake. He exploited every flaw in the system. And perhaps the most unsettling reason, 7. He didn't need to hide. He blended in. Zodiac was likely someone ordinary, a face no one questioned, a man who smiled at neighbors, a man who coached a team or fixed cars or sold insurance. Monsters often wear boring masks. Chapter 35. The Psychological Profile. Experts now believe the Zodiac displayed traits of narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, sadism, obsession with power, desire for recognition, lack of empathy, compulsion for dominance, intellectual arrogance. He wasn't a genius, just clever. Not supernatural, just careful. Not invincible, just strategic. He killed for thrill. He wrote for immortality. His letters were his trophies. His ciphers were his fingerprints. His identity was the weapon he never allowed to be used against him. Chapter 36. The Last Suspect Standing. In recent years, one suspect gained media attention, Gary Francis Post, who died in 2018. A private investigative group claimed he was the Zodiac. They pointed to facial scars, cryptic clues, alleged confessions, circumstantial evidence, but law enforcement rejected the claims. DNA did not confirm it. Handwriting did not confirm it. Nothing conclusive tied him to the crimes. The truth remained unchanged. The Zodiac's real identity is still unknown. Chapter 37. A legend isn't solved, it persists. As the decades passed, the Zodiac Killer became a subject of documentaries, books, films, podcasts, internet investigations, countless theories. People remain obsessed not only with his crimes, but with the unanswered questions. Every few years, new headlines claim Zodiac finally identified. And every time, the evidence falls apart. Because the Zodiac's greatest achievement wasn't his murders. It was his ability to remain a mystery. Chapter 38. The Final Shadow. Most likely, the Zodiac died long ago, quietly, anonymously, in a hospital, in a nursing home, or alone in a small apartment. No confession, no journal, no dramatic reveal. He took his secret with him, but the fear he created never left. He became a ghost that lives in books, films, minds, a symbol of the darkness a single man can unleash when given an audience. And so, the final truth of the Zodiac Killer is this: he wanted to be remembered, and he succeeded, not as a man, not as a name, but as a shadow that slipped into history and never stepped back out.